Welcome back. A group of former African presidents meeting in Johannesburg, South Africa, have blamed many of the continent's problems on the lack of decisiveness and direction of its leadership. Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who made the keynote address, spoke from the perspective of what he called an experienced conflict manager, saying there must be a new social contract based on trust between the leaders and the led. Looking at Africa's place in global politics, the former presidents say Africa must be proactive before reaching out for external assistance in finding solutions to its problems.
The leaders' passion for the continent was very visible, and the forum is coming at a time when thousands of African youth are dying trying to leave the continent. Also at a time when there are wars and peace, and neither war nor peace in some cases on the continent. The keynote speaker, President Olusegun Obasanjo, advocated African ownership of solutions.
Our success will depend on how effective we address the underlying causes of insecurity and instability in our continent by finding lasting solutions to weak governance, weak democratic institutions, and lack of opportunities. Working with regional and international partners, African countries must strengthen their institutions and be more proactive.
The first panel discussion was on cementing foundations for sustainable peace and security. Continental examples like South Sudan and Libya took center stage.
I believe we will have got an African solution in Libya if it was the leadership that dealt with the case of Taylor that was still the leadership that we had.
African member states of the Security Council at the point when that resolution 1973 was adopted. It was South Africa, Nigeria, and Gabon. And all of them voted for that resolution. If they hadn't, that resolution would not have passed.
The biggest problem I had is that Africa had lost the initiative. Only we went through a process, we came to a certain point. Then you have Macron calling the two leaders in Paris. They agreed for an election next year.
Who went to Obama? Did any of us go to Obama? We would have gone to Obama and tell Obama to his face. Obama was shedding crocodile tears the other day.
Yes, he said it was his biggest mistake.
Shedding crocodile tears when you are beginning of a mess.
The former leaders laid Africa's reducing relevance to a lack of common direction and decisiveness of current leaders on issues affecting the continent. The forum continues on Friday with a discussion on Africa's place in the global peace and security architecture. There will also be a youth forum with the theme Preparing for the Future. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television.
Britain's Foreign Minister Boris Johnson has met with the Prime Minister of Libya's United Government, Fayez Sarraj, to look at ways to stabilize the country. Speaking after the visit to Libyan Coast Guard, he stated that Libya was a front line in the struggle against illegal migration and terrorism. In a statement from the Foreign Office, Britain says it's stepping up efforts to deal with the threats posed to the UK from Libya.
Well, there's no doubt at all that Libya is our front line, if you like, in the struggle not just against illegal migration but also against terrorism. And some of the people who come across from this country through Italy are unquestionably people who are either already radicalized or who could be involved in terrorism. So that is why we are here, the UK is here, helping the Coast Guard, as you saw earlier on, helping to stabilize the country, trying to glue together both sides of this country, helping to bring back order and stability. That's the key thing for a country that's got amazing potential to make economic progress. Prime Minister Sarraj has a point in that there is more that we can do in the south of the country, and the UK has got some good ideas for electronic sensors there to help the Libyans to stop the huge numbers that are coming up from Guinea-Conakry and Nigeria, these enormous demographic pressures that you're seeing in sub-Saharan Africa. We need to do something to help the Libyans there.
The Egyptian government is moving Cairo's decades-old leather tannery workshops from the narrow streets of old Islamic Cairo to a new complex on the outskirts of the city. It's part of a major expansion drive of a sector Egypt considers as one of its most competitive. Take a look.
Just beyond the outskirts of Cairo, on a desert road to the Suez Canal, a sprawling industrial zone is coming to life. The new complex is part of a major expansion drive of a sector Egypt considers as one of its most competitive. The Trade Ministry has set an official target for leather exports to reach over $1 billion a year in 2020, from about $200 million a year currently. Egyptian exports were given a boost when Egypt floated its pound currency last year as part of an International Monetary Fund loan program. With projects like Rubiki, Egypt hopes to pull back capital that fled after its 2011 political uprising. In the fiscal year ending in June, it netted $8.7 billion in foreign direct investment and is targeting above $10 billion this year. The head of the leather tanning industry group, Mohamed Harbi, says around 220 tanneries are being relocated to Rubiki.
Imagine that even in these haphazard conditions, we are exporting 80 to 85% of our production to around the world. Can you imagine that we export this leather to other countries where it gets made into a product and sold back here? Try and imagine what could happen if we transformed the leather into the final product for the consumer. Why don't we do this instead of importing cheap and poor quality leather from other countries? We really care about the consumer.
The factories are moving under the orders of the government, which is paying for the transfer of machinery, constructing subsidized housing for workers, and facilitating low-interest loans for businesses looking to expand. At Magra Al Hayoun, workers dye animal hides in small ramshackle buildings without infrastructure for absorbing hazardous waste byproducts.
Egypt a long time ago was a leader in leather tanning, and for a period of time everyone wanted to grow, but there's no space.
Al Rawad, one of the country's 3 largest tanneries, will complete its relocation over the next month. The company is using the space to scale up and triple exports over the next year. By mid-2018, Rubiki should house the entire supply chain, from animal slaughtering to finished leather production, allowing global manufacturers to source materials and export final goods in a single location.
This important move from the Magra Al Hayoun area to this point will completely change the nature of the craft and the product.
Foreign investors can begin buying space in Rubiki in 2018, and the zone has received strong interest from Italian companies.
That's Network Africa. Thank you for watching. I'm Jacka Rogers.